Teofimo Lopez is by far the most inconsistent fighter in boxing. This last Saturday, we saw him fight Steve Claggett, a guy with 7 losses, and he lost a few rounds and went all 12 rounds and got hit a decent amount, and his face was all marked up afterwards. And, I'm not the type of guy that's like, oh, you always need a knockout to look good. I mean, you can still be a master boxer like Bivol, and that's still great. You're always winning. But when you fight so good sometimes and then fight so bad sometimes, like, he should have got Steve Claggett out of there. I was going to do a prediction video on the fight, but it was a really busy week for me. It was kind of quiet on socials, and the Bam versus Estrada fight was the same time, so I just wasn't able to make a prediction video. I was going to say he was going to knock him out in like 3 rounds, and I was like, we're going to see vintage Teofimo, because this Steve Claggett guy is not going to make Teo chase him like Jermaine Ortiz or Sandro Martin. He's just going to stand there, and Teo should get him out of there very quickly. Teofimo never dropped the guy. He only hurt him like once in round 8, I believe. And he didn't look that good. And we were saying before this how Teofimo was already the most inconsistent fighter in boxing. He went from beating Lomachenko to losing to George Kambosos. You go from beating Vasyl Lomachenko to losing to George Kambosos, and then you come back, look good, fight Sandro Martin, most people thought he lost, and then he goes on, fights Josh Taylor, looks fantastic. In the same week where there were so many things going on in his personal life, and he still managed to put on an amazing performance. And then fights Jermaine Ortiz. I believe that was after the Josh Taylor fight, Jermaine Ortiz. He has to chase Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz is a very good fighter, so that's not that big of a deal. But the fact he had to go 12 rounds and some people thought he lost was questionable, because we're like, Teofimo's supposed to be this great fighter. What's going on? And I was just saying, to beat Teofimo, you have to do as much to beat Teofimo, you got to have a style like Sandro Martin or Jermaine Ortiz, where you barely touch him, you stay away as long as possible, you do whatever you can to stay away, and you just try and hit him with pit-pat shots, because Teofimo is not that good at cutting off the ring, but his counter-punching and his ability to throw while you're, right there, counter you, is magnificent. Like we saw against Vasyl Lomachenko. Basically, Vasyl Lomachenko was just worried to throw for 7 rounds straight, and then when he started, and Vasyl Lomachenko is amazing, and he started having some success just pot-shotting against Teofimo and moving away, but he never wanted to get hit. Then around 12, when Teofimo said, I wanted to do it, Lomachenko came forward trying to land punches on Teofimo, but Teofimo was so good at just beating the crap out of a guy coming forward, and even Vasyl Lomachenko, every time he threw punches, he was getting countered. That's why his defense was so good in the first half of the fight, because he wasn't throwing any counters. And Teofimo is a guy who's an amazing counterpuncher, and if you try throwing lots of punches against Teofimo, he's going to counterpunch you. And while Steve Claggett did throw a lot of punches, it was volume. It wasn't power, it was just volume, just going like this. And Teofimo struggled with that. And that's how you're going to beat a counterpuncher like Teofimo Lopez. But Sandro Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, they had the right game plan, just staying away from Teofimo and just praying you can get a decision. That George Kambosos fight was a one night off type of thing, where there's things going on in his family. He had something wrong with his collapsed lung, or I can't even remember. He had a lot of things going on that night, and that's why he lost. And then he just goes on to fight Campa, a guy who's actually decent, who gave Brandon Lee all he could handle on a Showtime card. And he looked great. Then he fought, I can't remember the order specifically, but the Martin fight, you could definitely say he lost. But Martin's amazing. I think if Martin's fighting Devin Haney like he should, I think he's going to beat him. And, Teofimo, is he inconsistent? I really think it's just the styles he goes up against. When he came up early, he was just destroying dudes, and he fight Comey and knocked him out in 2 rounds, looked amazing with a guy. If you try and fight Teofimo Lopez just like you normally fight, well, I mean, some guys fight different, but if you just try and fight Teofimo Lopez, you're going to lose. If you just, you know what I mean? If you just try to normally fight him, throwing your power punches and who's a really good example of a guy he would destroy? I would say Devin Haney, but Devin Haney is a good boxer, is a really good boxer, so he might have some success for a few rounds, but he'd really get knocked out by Teofimo. But if you're just a guy who, I'm trying to think of a really good comparison. Okay, I can't think of one right now, but I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. That Teofimo, you can't fight Teofimo. You have to fight him a certain way to win. And Claggett did the exact opposite, and he came forward and didn't allow like one singular punches to get countered. Teofimo is a master counter puncher. That's what you guys don't understand. So I don't think Teofimo's lost a step. He is really inconsistent, but I really think it's just the styles he goes up against. If you're trying to fight Teofimo the way Josh Taylor did and Josh Taylor's a great example. If you're trying to fight him the way you normally fight and just mid-range boxing, countering his counters, you're going to lose if you fight Teofimo. Anyone will lose if you try to fight this athletic dude like that. You're going to lose. So I don't think he's inconsistent, but he is, like, with his performances, but it's the guys he's fighting, and I still think Teofimo is a top guy. He's super young. He's only like 26 still, and he's still a beast. I don't think he's lost a step. He is inconsistent, but it's just the guys he fights. And look, while he has been inconsistent, the Jermaine Ortiz guy was great. Like, so a lot of people thought he beat Lomachenko, and Teofimo beat him like 8-4. Although Jermaine Ortiz was running around the ring, that's how you're going to beat Teofimo. And then this guy, Steve Claggett, barely won a round. And Teofimo did get marked up, but he got some experience against the guy who's coming forward. So Teofimo's still great. I don't think he's lost a step, but he is inconsistent. So, that's all I got to say, really. But I'm going to try to do weekly video. I'm trying to do a video, like, every single day. Like, I'm serious. Like, a video every single day. So, stay tuned. I'm probably going to do a video on mid-2024 boxing awards, like, awards in the middle of the year. So, stay tuned for that. Be sure to follow me or subscribe on here. Follow me on Twitter, JackAlter0. Instagram, JackAlter_. And I think that's it. Hope you are doing well. God bless. Oh, yeah. What do you think? What do you think about Teofimo? Has he lost a step? Is he inconsistent? What do you think? But, yeah, that's it. God bless and peace.